I didn't lose my life savings to a stranger or a scammer hiding behind a fake name. I lost it to the woman who stood next to me at my wedding, held my hand through my worst breakups, and called me her sister for over 15 years because one day she looked me straight in the eyes and told me she had found a way for us to finally win together. And I believed her, not because the numbers made sense, but because our history did. And by the time I realized that friendship was being used as leverage and love had been turned into a weapon, my bank account was empty, my trust was shattered, and the person I would have sworn would never hurt me had already disappeared with everything I worked my entire life to build. So stay with me, because this isn't just a story about money, it's about how emotional loyalty can blind you, how greed hides behind familiar faces, and the exact moment I learned that betrayal hurts more when it comes wrapped in love. It started so innocently that I still replay it in my head, wondering how something that sounded so hopeful could end so destructively. Because when she called me that night, her voice was buzzing with excitement, the kind you only hear when someone truly believes they found something life-changing. And she told me she had finally cracked the code, that she was involved in a business that was helping regular women build real wealth. Not someday, but now. And she kept saying how she wished we had discovered something like this years ago when we were struggling together, how she didn't want success unless I was standing beside her. And that detail mattered because she wasn't selling me an investment at first. She was selling me belonging, nostalgia, and the promise that we would rise together the same way we had survived everything else together. And when she showed me screenshots of payouts and stories of women just like us who had already quit their jobs, I didn't analyze them like a financial decision. I absorbed them like a shared dream. Because this was the same woman who had slept on my couch when she had nowhere else to go. The same woman who knew every fear I had about money, about security, about falling behind in life. And she spoke directly to those fears, telling me this was safe, telling me she would never bring me into something that wasn't real, telling me that trust was the whole reason this worked. And looking back now, that sentence alone should have scared me, because real opportunities don't require trust as collateral. But in that moment, my curiosity wasn't driven by greed, it was driven by hope, by the idea that maybe, after years of working hard and barely getting ahead, something good was finally choosing us. And the more she talked, the more it felt less like a pitch and more like a reunion of dreams we once whispered as girls. And when she said the words, "I want us to win together," I felt something click inside me. Not logic, not caution, but loyalty. And that loyalty opened a door I didn't realize would close behind me forever. So if this story already feels uncomfortably familiar, hit like and subscribe right now, because understanding how curiosity gets weaponized might save you from the same mistake. The first crack didn't come from losing money, it came from confusion. Because once I was in, everything shifted. The conversation stopped being about growth and started revolving around urgency, about how timing was everything, how hesitation was the enemy, and how the people who questioned the process were always the ones who failed. And when I asked simple questions, like where the profits were actually coming from, or why the focus seemed more on recruiting than selling anything real, her warmth cooled just enough for me to notice. And suddenly, I wasn't being reassured anymore. I was being corrected. She told me I was overthinking, that fear was keeping me small, that if I truly trusted her, I wouldn't need to ask so many questions. And that's when the guilt started. Subtle at first, then sharper, because every concern I raised somehow became proof that I didn't believe in her, that I wasn't supportive, that I was holding us back. And it was disorienting, because I wasn't arguing with the salesperson, I was defending myself to my best friend. And that emotional imbalance kept me trapped, because walking away didn't feel like a financial decision, it felt like betrayal. And the more uncomfortable I became, the harder she pushed. inviting me to meetings filled with loud music, smiling faces, and stories that sounded rehearsed but intoxicating, where doubt was treated like weakness and skepticism was framed as jealousy. And anytime I hesitated, she reminded me how much she had already put in, how much she had risked, and how devastated she would be if I didn't stand by her. And I realize now that this is the psychology of financial betrayal, because she didn't need contracts or threats. She had something far more powerful: our history, our shared pain, and my fear of losing her. And while my instincts were screaming, my emotions were being expertly manipulated. And the shocking truth is that I wasn't staying because I believed in the scheme anymore. I was staying because I didn't want to accept that someone I loved could knowingly lead me into ruin. And if you're starting to recognize these tactics, if you've ever felt pressured by someone you trusted to ignore your instincts, make sure you like and subscribe, because awareness is the first step out of the trap. The end didn't come with an explosion, it came with silence. Because one morning I logged into my account and everything was frozen. The dashboard gone, the website offline, and when I tried to call her, my calls went straight to voicemail. And in that quiet moment, my body understood the truth before my mind could accept it. Because panic feels physical. It steals your breath. It makes your hands shake. And as I started digging, reaching out, retracing every step, I realized the money was gone. Not misplaced, not delayed, gone. And when I finally confronted her days later, face to face, she didn't apologize. She didn't cry. She told me she was a victim too, even as she showed up wearing things my money helped pay for. And that was the moment the real loss hit me. Because the money was devastating, yes, but what broke me was realizing that the person I would have defended against anyone had chosen herself over me without hesitation. And that kind of betrayal rewrites your understanding of trust forever. Because you stop questioning people and you start questioning yourself, wondering how you missed it, how you allowed love to override logic. And I've learned since then that financial betrayal hurts differently when it comes from someone close. Because it doesn't just empty your bank account, it fractures your sense of safety. It teaches you that boundaries matter, even with the people you love most. And that real friendship never demands silence, guilt, or blind loyalty as the price of entry. And while I'm rebuilding now, slowly and painfully, I share this story because if it makes one person pause before handing their future to someone who says, "Trust me," without transparency, then something good can come from what I lost. So if this story resonated with you, if you've ever been betrayed by someone you loved, like this video and subscribe, because protecting yourself is not selfish, it's survival.